Let it burn through you, the dross of your life, as the alchemist would say. It's about 5 minutes. powerful medicine. Powerful medicine. So the third medicine I was given on this quadrated medicine journey was surgery. So surgery as medicine. By the grace of God, something was lifted from me. By the grace of God, something was lifted from me. The doctors took out the cancer. Whatever psychic bundle of distortion, karmic, archaic, and I'm sure helped along by my experiences in this life, was lifted out of my body. So when it came time for surgery, medical world surgery, I got wheeled in early. And can we have the next slide, Phil? Back to the liver again, because that's where it all is. So as the surgeon explained that this is what he was going to do, hopefully, he was going to remove the left side of my liver because it had entropy through lack of blood stuff. So he's going to remove the left side of the liver. He's going to remove all of the bile ducts, the gallbladder, and if successful, he would create 3 new bile ducts out of the small intestine and kind of rotor-root up into the right liver to find 3 ducts that were not contaminated. So he had to and then he would take me and up there, sew it up there. That's just things that's what he said. He said, and I do that all the time. It's not a big deal. That's good. He said, that's good. And he said, I'm going to be working with my buddy who's head of pancreatic surgery. And I said, great. You know what it's like to work with your buddy. Yeah, I said, good. Have a good time. Compare notes. Work out strategies between yourself. I'm all for it, but that's what it is. It was that operation that had these 2 incredible surgeons who love to work together, who plan operations together, because that's what they do. But he said, the deal with you is I can do all of that, but I don't know until I get in there whether I can separate the bile duct from the vein and the artery. That was the whole point of the radiation. And he said, it can come off like old Scotch tape, or it won't. And I can't tell by the images. We're going to go in and do a little exploratory surgery. We're going to look around. And if we think we can do it, we will. But if we don't think we can do it, then we're just going to sew you up. And so it's like, up until this point, I didn't know whether I was really going to live or die. It was like, are you going to live or die? And this operation is going to kind of tell me if that's what's going to happen. And he says it'll be like a 3-hour operation, or it'll be a long operation. He says, you want a long operation. I want one. See the next slide. So in they went. And I had to really I said, don't you have a video of this? Of course you do. No. Get it off the internet. So I got it off the internet. I wanted to see what it was, because I have this scar, which obviously was that. But I wanted to see what he actually did, and it's pretty amazing. All that squishy, gooey organ, blood, mucus, tissue. God forbid, he loves it. He loves it. Yeah. He loves doing it. And the operation was successful. I was under for 10 hours. And see, I said before the operation, I said, I want to know what's going on. So I really prayed for an out-of-body experience. I said, I want to leave my body and see this operation from above. I want to see what's happening to me. Well, never happened. I woke up 10 hours later. And it's like, I see the next one. That's how I woke up. I had 7 tubes coming out of me. 7 tubes coming out of me. And I had been under anesthesia for 10 hours. I'd been under pain for 10 hours. Been in pain. So I was pretty out of it for a couple of days. And I don't have any memory of the operation or anything. I'll just say briefly, my first 2 or 3 days after surgery were like being in hell. I was all doped up, I was all medicated, I was in this terrifying situation. Hospitals for me are terrifying. And I had many very weird experiences recovering. But a couple days later, they came in and they said, look, we have done the biopsies of surrounding tissue, and we have done the biopsies of nearby organs and of your lymph nodes. And we find no evidence of cancer cells. And I was so overwhelmed with the feeling that I had been visited by God's messenger, grace, and I was saved. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried about everything and everything. In the hospital, out of the hospital. It went on for a couple of months. Just tears of I was released from the gates of hell. Go. It's like, go. And I remember I got wheeled down. Annie came to get me, and I was being wheeled down. And when I got close to the entrance, I could smell the fresh air from the entrance coming in. And it was Boston in the middle of the summer. But the air smelled so, it was like, and I started crying, she goes, I'm going to go get a car, and you stay here. And I'm crying, and I remember a guy sitting across from me, he's reading like the Boston Globe or something like that, and I'm looking at whatever it was on that, I just started crying. And they have those bands in the hospital. black lady came over. She must have been like 85. A little black lady came over with a pair of scissors. And she just cut my band off and just walked away. It's like, there you go. I just went through hell. There's the door. What did the healers do in all of this? So I asked them to be present during my surgery and to psychically and to assist in whatever way they can. You know, these are smart people. They've been through it. They know. Assist in any way you can. Clearing the space, holding my soul, solidifying stabilizing the field, assisting in the operation itself. What do you think? The doctor invented this? It's what we learned here. It's like the spirit guides, they come through and inform the physical. Not the physical informs the spiritual. So I asked them to reach for the highest, for their highest healership and bring that through and actually aid in the surgery. And the doctors were fine with that. They go, all right, you want that's good. You do your stuff, and I'll do. And the thing is, it seems to be working so far already, so they were on board with it. And so you can imagine what they did. You can imagine what they did then, and it was, again, lines of light, organ restructuring, core star, horror, everything you learned here, would be applied in that situation. Recovery, holding my soul body in coherence, and holding my physical body in coherence. And they all showed up during that time, along with everybody else in the room. All the other angels and guides and everybody else I asked for. I wasn't ashamed to ask him for help back then. And so this next piece of music, I would invite you to go into, let it affect you in a way that anything is possible. The messenger of God can come at any time. Can come at any time. And it's helpful to ask, too. Like, help me. But let it invoke a feeling of grace in you. That grace is here. Grace can happen. Because I can tell you, it happened to me. And I heard a story this morning, and it happened to somebody else. And if it can happen to a couple of schmucks like us, it can happen to you. It can happen to you right now. Give it a try. Give it a try. Whatever it is that burdens you, that you would like lifted, and you know that better than anybody else, what that is. You probably haven't even told it to anybody else. But you can ask that now. And let's see what happens. Are you lifted by the grace of God?
Remember those walls are built? Oh baby, they're tumbling down. They didn't even put up a fight. It didn't even make a sound. I found a way to let you in, but I never really had a doubt. Standing in the my darkest night. You're the only one that I want, and I'm addicted to your light. I swore I'd never fall again, but this don't even feel like falling. Gravity can't forget to pull me back to the ground again. It's like I've been awakened. Every rule I had you breaking. It's a risk that I'm taking. I ain't never gonna shut you out. Everywhere I'm looking now, I'm surrounded by your embrace. Baby, I can see your halo. You know you're my saving grace. You're everything I need and more. It's written all over your face. Baby, I can feel your halo. Pray you won't fade away.
The medicine of surgery and having something lifted from you. Okay, just next slide. Here I am, 2 weeks after coming out of the hospital.
Wow.
And I have a wound back on me, which is, all these things were new to me. I'm like, what do you do? What? They basically open up the wound again, and then fill it with foam, and then put a suction pump over it, and it pumps out all the fluid and all the pus and stuff that would form under the skin. And you heal so much quicker with it. They said I would be on it for 6 weeks. They took it off at 2. And you can imagine what the healers were doing in terms of like restitching things together, how it would heal so much quicker with all those broken lines stitched together. So the last medicine I was given was chemotherapy. I was ambivalent about taking it. And I asked my surgeon, and he said, well, the operation was successful, we didn't see anything, nothing came up in the biopsies. He says, you know, kind of your call. I had the idea of poison, right? Poison. I talked to the oncologist, and she said, look, here's the statistic. 40% of the people who take this kind of chemotherapy have a 30% chance, more than 30% chance of recovering than normal. Right? So half the group would recover at least a third better. I said, well, let's look at it this way. What does Western medicine have to offer? Radiation, surgery, chemotherapy. Pretty much it. I did the first two, and guess what? Saved my life. I said, well, I think I'll do the third one. I'll do the third one because I didn't want to have any doubt. You know, I don't want to, you know, say I got it 2 years, it came back 2 years. I should have done that chemotherapy. I said, no, let's just do it. This is the route that they say works. So let's do this. And so I took oral chemotherapy. It's called Xeloda. I took 800 milligrams twice a day. There were 8 rounds, 2 weeks on, 1 week off. And the medicine of chemotherapy, think of the divine purpose of chemotherapy. That medicine that was developed, who developed that in the other world? For me, it was a medicine that would go through my body and seek out and eliminate all those things that were not in alignment with my divine template. That's how I viewed it. I would take this medicine and it would go through and it would seek out the distortions that were in my physical body and the energetic, high-frequency energetics of the medicine would work on my subtle body too. Okay, that's good. I kept the medicine on my altar, blessed it every time I took it. I didn't have any side effects. I think the doctors go, oh, your blood works great all the time. I wish all my clients were like you. Oh, I brought them some apples. Yeah, have some apples, you know. Like, hey. The medicine worked really well. I had no side effects. I didn't lose my hair. There were no side effects. I just got healthier and healthier while I was taking this medicine. The one thing that I did have, and I think you can relate to this, some people can, I have a schizoid character structure, and this is what it looks like when you're 70. But the chemotherapy is, 90% of it is eliminated through your urine, and 10% is eliminated through the small capillaries in the hands and then in the feet. And they go through the capillaries and they aggravate the tissue around the capillaries and they get inflamed and they get hot. So for once in my life, I walked around all winter. I have hot hands. My feet are cold. I'm like, this is what normal people like. Oh, I can't believe this. Can I do it next week? Can I do it next winter? It was a beautiful side effect. I never had the healers had started to fade out. at this time, because I was healthy, and I was starting to be able to create my own energy again. I could do practices that would help with my energy and restore. So it wasn't, 2 or 3 healings a week. It was maybe 2 or 3 a month or something like that. And they said, as most healers or doctors would say, we got you going. We got a whole bunch of people at the door waiting to get in. So there was a sense of turning over the healing to me, to my own soul body, to my own intention to stay healthy. And I knew enough to how to do that. And so that's what I started. I started a practice of about an hour of yoga and pranayama, pretty much every day, followed by an hour of a practice that's called white light downpour. We did it in our cancer thing. Comes from Ralph Metzner. But it's basically you open your soul seat, top individuation point, and you let pure white light just flow down. And I would sit in that meditation for about an hour and let it go through everything, my head, my organs, everything, out my feet. Pure white light. I don't know, it seemed to work. And then, go to the next slide. Then I started taking, in the next one, then I started taking clearing really seriously. I started taking, because I was healthy, I could start moving around again and stuff. And what I did is I looked around at my life and I went, what is this stuff in my life? I've just gone through a near-death experience. I have a new life. My mother's dry sink and doors I've been carrying around since I was 30 years old. You look around your house, oh shit. And I went through everything in my life. Attic, linen closet, I don't name it. Cedar chest, garage, everything. It was like, a couple-month process. I just said, I'm just going through everything I own. And I asked myself the simple question, is this something that serves me now and in the future, or am I just carrying it? And what I found is that I eliminated about 50% of my possessions. I either gave them away, I sold them at auction, I took them to the dump, whatever it was, that if they didn't serve what I felt was this new life coming, they had to go. And then I got into my address books. And I had a Rolodex from a long time ago. But it had a lot of names in it, something like that. And then I had an address book that had a lot of names in it. And then I had my really personal one. But it took a week, but I went through each name in the Rolodex. I said, do I know this person? Do I even know this person now? Who are they? Or yes, I know them, and I want to keep them. Or, God, they're dead. But I still may want to keep their name, And it was going through my whole life of the people that I've known again. And sort of separating, clearing that which was no longer of importance to me. And in the end, I got I came down to 4 people that I felt I needed to write to. And it wasn't the I've done you wrong type of letter. Although I did do something. But that wasn't it. It was, these were people who were no longer in my life, and I never got a chance to honor them for who they were. And it may have ended badly, it may have ended good. That wasn't the point. I never got the chance to say, God, it was so incredible to double date with you and your wife and me and my girlfriend for 5 years. I've never had that experience before, and I've never had it since. The sense of community or just togetherness. Or thank you for an incredibly passionate, wild relationship. I never had it before. Other things like that. And I wrote to her, I wrote on, I said, I'm going through cancer, I'm thinking about this, and I just want to tell you, it's been such an honor. I'm so honored to have known you in this way. That what you contributed was so unique to me. And so we often miss the second part of clearing. Here in the school we call this process, right? Process. Get it, clear it, you get it behind you. That's a good thing. You want to do that. You want to clear your field. That should be right. But I think what I learned at the latter phases of this chemotherapy is that equally precious is that you recognize the pearls of your life. The unique gift that had been given to you at various times. And that you take that energy bundle of light and you put it into the basket of your heart. So you will carry that with you always into the next life. Because it lightens the heart. Clearing lightens the heart. Deep appreciation and gratitude put in lightens the heart. And if you think, like I do, that when you stand before Maat, the Egyptian god, and the scale is before you, and she pulls the ostrich feather out of her cap and puts it on the scale, and then takes your heart out and puts it on the other side. How light is your heart at the end of this life? What have you been able to process and get behind you? And what have you really claimed as the pearls of your life? Chemotherapy, interesting drug. So, for those of you who would like to clear stuff from their field and maybe have the opportunity to gather some of those precious gems that while you're walking the beach of life, you just walk right by, you go, oh no, let me have that one. This is a short 5-minute piece of music. It has a certain wave-like quality to it, so there's a clearing that happens oceanically with water. But just as the fourth medicine of this journey, clearing and gathering. Clearing and gathering. chemotherapy, clearing and gathering the pearls of our life. So I know it's been a long day. I appreciate you staying. I'm going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes here. After I was working with chemotherapy, I started drawing again. And so I want to show you some of the drawings. That there was kind of a clarity at the end of my treatment where I got to see as far as I could the structure of things. Next one. And then at the end, because I had these tubes coming out of me all the time, and I'm a surfer all my life, and I couldn't even take a shower for a year. Finally, it's like, it was an incredible gift when the nurse goes, pulling out the final tube. She goes, "Look at me." She goes, "Look at me." She was like some astral snake getting pulled out of me. I'm like, God, fuck. This thing has been in me for Jesus. Time capsule that mother. Or whatever you guys do. So at the end of everything, we're approaching 8 o'clock here, so I'm going to just wrap it up. But all of these things I learned, and I hope you had an experience of some of that journey and what that might be like. If you have, if you're working with people with cancer, you may have a better felt sense of what they're going through, and what that's like. And the different medicines can have so many different effects depending on your intention. And every person is different. Every person is different, depending on how they approach, from their soul's journey to their own personal response. So, now that I'm in this new life, it's starting to look a lot like the old one. I don't have a new body. Still doing a lot of the things I did do. But here's what I learned. I will give you, this is what I learned. I wanted to talk about some of them in more detail, but there won't be time for that. In this whole journey, I learned 6 things. I learned kindness. Because I was overwhelmed with the kindness that was shown me in everybody. And I got to see, yes, I'm generally a kind person, but let's bump it up a little bit. A little bit. To be kind to people. To be kind to my animals, family members. To be kind to the trees. To be kind to all living things. Kindness. I was shown generosity. I was shown incredible generosity. And I try to be generous now in the ways that I can. With some money, Beth Israel, right, join our fundraiser, started $1,000. No, I can send them $10, it's sort of that practice. One of the healers said to me, when I said, I thank you for your great, thank you. I can't thank you enough. And she said, well, you would do the same for me. And in all honesty, up until this happened, I'm not sure I would have. But I do know that I would now. Generosity. What was given to you, give back. Tenfold. I was shown appreciation. The ability to take in, appreciate what was given, presented. I was given the gift of gratitude. And in some traditions, appreciation and gratitude are what the soul feeds on. It's the energy that the soul needs is appreciation and gratitude. So to learn those things, to have gratitude for life, for everything. Thank you. I was also shown that we all live in a web of love, whether we know it or not. And I will confess, most of my life I did not know that. But I know it now. This is all a web of love, whether you know it or not. And the final thing I learned was to keep death close. See, I was surprised by death. Death came and put its hand on me and said, I was like, whoa. I wasn't paying attention. I got lost in the Maya of life. And all the traditions have a way of preparing for death. Except we seem to ignore most of them. But you don't want to be surprised by death. Because it puts everything into much more chaos. So I do like daily practices of thinking that like my life, one day is one life. I'm in the bardo realm, dreaming about my wife. Golden one. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm born into another day. And I look around and I go, oh, this is the life I was born into. Wow, lucky me. And what am I going to do this day to honor this life I was given? And then the sun starts to go down, and start to go to bed, and close your eyes and go back into the subtle realm again. But it's a practice, it's a way of speeding things up a little bit, because you don't have to do a whole lifetime. You can just take stock of what it is you did in this life, this day, and speed it up. And the other thing about death is I learned that if I don't have a plan for dying, I'm going to be following someone else's plan. So I really did all my paperwork, all that stuff. But I also, explored the different avenues of assisted suicide and how to go about doing that, what medicines would be necessary if I wanted to end my life. Because I may not want to go back, try the other 85% route. Or at some point, giving up a little bit of life for a good death seemed to me way to go. So those are the 6 things that I learned. And when I forget, and it is the curse of me and everybody else to forget, I remember. Be kind. Be generous. Show appreciation. Show gratitude. Remember you're loved. And keep death close. It will happen like that. Thank you very much.